Good morning. Good morning, welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Monday again. It is Monday, March the 2nd. We're here to look at the new releases that are published this week. And on Mondays, we look at Cozy Mysteries. Hope you had a good weekend. Announcements. We will have a Wednesday and Friday show. And sprints, our next sprints are on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday afternoons. Let's jump in. First up, I'm very excited. A new Veronica Speedwell by Deanna Rayburn. This is book number 10 in the series. This is called A Ghastly Catastrophe. When the corpse of an entitled young man is found entirely drained of blood in a carriage next to Highgate Cemetery, Veronica's interest is piqued. And then a second victim is found, his death made to look like a suicide, and Veronica and her intrepid Bo Stoker know the hunt is on. The two men share one link. They were both members of a society so secretive that only a singular mention of it can be found anywhere. Thirsty for more clues, Veronica and Stoker hear that a young Romany boy may know more about their first victim, and the only way to the boy is through an old acquaintance of Stoker's, Lady Julia Brisbane. Lady Brisbane and her dashing husband Nicholas occasionally track down murderers and are only too happy to help. She's crossing her with her previous series. But as it becomes clear that the secret society is a dangerous sect looking to entice immortality seekers, Veronica and Stoker find themselves ensnared by a decidedly more sinister couple. And that's all I'll say. Comes out tomorrow. I'm very excited. A Lie, a Wicked Lie, a Murder. Fifth in the Titan McGannigan series by Dennis Anthony. Beach private investigator Titan McGannigan doesn't believe in ghosts, but Titan's home is next to a lighthouse that has a history of hauntings, vanishings, and whispered legends. But when a reality TV ghost hunting crew descends on the lighthouse and one of the team members winds up dead, Titan is called in to investigate. He expects a straightforward case with a logical, non-ghostly explanation. Instead, the clues don't add up. The evidence doesn't behave, and even Titan's faithful dachshund Bonka won't go near the lighthouse, and whatever is stalking the tower doesn't care what Titan believes. The lighthouse's complicated past begins bleeding into the present. It seems like a living thing, watching, waiting. Titan follows the facts anyway, because facts are what he trusts, but each answer only drags him closer to something old, patient, and very real. What he uncovers isn't a hoax, a hallucination, or a simple murder. It's the last thing he ever expected to believe in. Matrimony and Malice. 8th in the Kate Murphy Cozy Mysteries by Suzanne Bolden. Seaside Cove is in full celebration mode as Aubrey and Liam prepare to say I do. The coastal town hums with excitement as guests pour into town, and Patty's Pub takes on a wedding glow with floral garlands and champagne toasts. From the rehearsal dinner to the ceremony on the pub's rooftop, laughter and love fill the air. But not all the guests are feeling the joy. Among the far-flung relatives attending are a few who still resent Aubrey's inheritance of Gertrude Miller's mansion and the family heirlooms it holds. Old feelings bubble onto the surface, and by the time the last slice of wedding cake is served, the celebration has taken a dark turn. The next morning, a meddling uncle is found dead in the attic. The family is quick to whisper and blame. Each new revelation casts doubt on everything Aubrey thought she knew about her past. With a long list of suspects, the race is on to reveal the murderer. Manifesting and Mischief by Beth Doldner. 3rd in A Crones of a Feather Paranormal Cozy Mysteries. Wintertime in Foxfire Haven heats up with the arrival of a brash witch intent on buying the town newspaper. At the same time, other newcomers to the magical town are raising eyebrows everywhere they go. When the witch winds up dead, Hazel Underwood is determined to solve the murder. After all, a member of her own coven is one of the suspects. Did Jo kill just to protect her career with the newspaper? As she tracks down clues, Hazel must rely on the teamwork of her coven for everything from spells for a good outcome to warding off increasing paranormal activity at the former funeral home where they live. And will Hazel and Chief Constable Wyatt Hightower ever find a way to work together? End of that row. Good morning, Mary. She says, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy March, too. Hard to believe another month has just started. I know. Okay. Gotcha. Elena says, good morning. How are you doing? Mary says, colder here this morning. Not the low 30s. Saturday was a gorgeous day, upper 60s, and the actual sun was out and shining. Woo! Tomorrow, expecting freezing rain. Must be a change of seasons. And she says, hi, Elena. Good to see you here. Down here. Autumn Waters and the Case of the Unlucky Numbers. Third in the Autumn Waters Cozy Mystery Series by Chelsea Thomas and Bertie Miller. After returning to Lowville to lick her wounds and learn more about her brother's death, Autumn finds herself in increasingly hot water, stealing cars, making friends with criminals, and making enemies with neighborhood police chiefs. She just wants to stay out of trouble, but she can't. To make things worse, her best friend Caddy's brother comes to town too. Autumn is torn between her loyalty to Caddy and her crush on Caddy's brother. Oh, and also her crush on local Detective Henry, who can't seem to stay out of trouble either. When he's suspended after a police officer is found dead in the Lowville station, Autumn and Caddy do everything they can to prove his innocence and bring the real killer to justice, while also solving a years-old murder in the process. Lost, a Folly Beach Mystery, 11th in that series by Bill Knoll. Over the years, retired bureaucrat Chris Landrum has stumbled across several murders on his adopted island of Folly Beach, South Carolina, but nothing prepared him for a body falling into his arms at his back door in the middle of the night. To intensify and compound the mystery even more, Chris learns the dead man owned Chris's cottage before selling it to him more than 13 years ago. Why had the man Chris had never met appeared at his door carrying a pry bar and a key with Chris's address on the key ring? And even more frightening, who killed him before he could make his intentions known? With the police at a loss, it was up to Chris, his best friend Charles Fowler, and Chris's neighbor, a retired police detective who had accused Chris on more than one occasion as being a murderer, to catch the killer before Chris becomes his latest victim. The Spirited Recipe, first in a new series called the Eclectic Enchilada Mystery Series by R.K. O'Brien. When Mimi Lucas returns to her hometown of West Haven, she plans to do one simple thing: open a new restaurant, the Eclectic Enchilada. What she doesn't plan on is inheriting the resident ghost or a recipe that refuses to stay buried. As Mimi settles into small-town life, strange things begin happening in the kitchen. Ingredients move on their own, ovens turn on mysteriously, and a long-lost family recipe seems determined to make itself known. Soon Mimi realizes the spirit lingering in the restaurant isn't there to scare her away, but to protect a secret tied to a decades-old mystery. When a local food competition, simmering rivalries, and an unsettling discovery threaten both Mimi's fresh start and the future of the Eclectic Enchilada, she must decide whether to trust the ghostly guidance she's been given. With help from a community that loves her quirky restaurant, a few unexpected allies, and a recipe with a mind of its own, Mimi uncovers the truth, one spirited dish at a time. Okay. Somerset Mysteries. Murder by the Book, first in the June Morgan's Cozy Mysteries by Dorothea Stiller, and Toby Axelrod is the translator. Okay. No sooner had June settled into her aunt's house in Lower Foxdale than tragedy strikes. Her retired neighbor, Professor Layton, is found dead at the bottom of his staircase. The police suspect a tragic accident, but June has her doubts. Just before his death, the professor confided in her about a significant discovery he intended to keep secret. As June investigates, she uncovers clues pointing to a long-lost, immensely valuable book. But she's not the only one searching. A mysterious figure in a monk's robe attacks her before she can make a discovery. Has she just come face to face with a killer? Together with fellow bookshop owner Pomona and the charming Rufus Wally, June is determined to unravel the mystery no matter the personal danger. Why is there a translator? I don't know. Mary says, volunteer in the Friends Bookshop at the library tomorrow. Ooh, nice. I've missed the last 2 months, bad weather and sickness, but we'll be good. It will be good to be back in the saddle again. Oh, that'll be fun. Amy says, hi, Elena, Mary, and PK. Hello, Amy. And Mary says, hello. Mary says, I would like to live in that little cottage on the cover of that book. That'd be cute. Hopefully it's like, has heat and all that stuff. Something Prowling in Paradise Park by Chris Bach. 7th in the Accidental Detective series. Kate Tesler may have thought her days of chasing danger were over, but the former war correspondent's retirement in sunny Paradise, Arizona is anything but quiet. With her eccentric circle of friends and colleagues, Kate has built a new life, full of mysteries, mayhem, and occasional stakeout, as she works towards earning her PI license. After wrapping her last case, Kate wonders what's next when the 3 cases, all brought by friends, fall into her lap. Squatters in a snowbird's house, local pedigree dogs disappearing, and smash and grab burglaries at local pot shops. These are more like cop jobs. Kate juggles the cases with help from her usual cast of amateur crime solvers, including the Teen Sons of Paradise's mayor. As she digs, Kate suspects at least 2 cases are connected, but things turn deadly when a late-night stakeout leads Kate and one teen sidekick interested in investigative work straight to a body. Was it a gruesome accident or something far more sinister? The Bark Before Dawn by Sarah Fox, 4th in the Magical Menagerie Mysteries. Ever get the feeling you're being watched? Arriving home to her beloved farmhouse after a successful trip with her boyfriend Callum, Georgie Johansson feels utterly contented until she discovers a dark figure watching her from the bushes. A prowler on your property is creepy enough to warrant a call to the police, right? But when Georgie's ID matches that of a body discovered the next day at Twilight Cove Seabreeze Motel, things take a bizarre turn, especially when Georgie realizes she met the murder victim at the airport in Florida. Why did the mysterious woman follow them all the way to Oregon? Why was she at the farm? And what could she possibly have done that led to her death? Georgie, along with magical pups Flossie and Fancy, makes it her mission to uncover the truth, and time is of the essence as a second prowler stares through her window. ... Mary says, I bet something far more sinister. Indeed. Crown of Thorns by Amanda M. Lee, 15th in A Spell's Angel Cozy Mysteries. Scout Randall is ready for the return of one enemy. What she gets is 2 for the price of 1. Bonnie Jenkins returns in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, and in the middle of a very weird pack of dogs. They're not wolf shifters, but they're determined to keep Bonnie separate from Scout. Bonnie's escape weighs heavily on Scout, but the dogs are a problem, especially when the truth about their rival becomes clear. The Kishi don't belong in Michigan. They're from another world. Their motivations are hidden. Their allegiances are unknown. Their goal is the only thing that is clear. They want Scout's magic. They'll settle for Bonnie's magic, too. With that will come total domination. Scout has zero intention of letting them win. She's outnumbered but not outgunned, thanks to her merry band of misfits. It's all hands on deck for another crazy Hawthorne Hollow adventure. What happens when 3 enemies collide? Who will come out alive? Come out alive. Buried in a Book by Tony Lo Tempio. 2nd in A Cozy Bookshop Mysteries. Retired thriller author and current bookshop owner Charlie James is preparing for Halloween in her small hometown of Austin, Pennsylvania. What she isn't prepared for is discovering the body of a woman at the local inn. Charlie recognizes the stranger as a suspicious customer who popped in just to hide a rather peculiar book at her store. Did she already know she was about to lose her life for it? Probably. Pursuing this mysterious case, Charlie can't seem to stay out of trouble, and no one knows this better than Detective Hottie Ian Grant. But Charlie has a mind of her own, and together with Cat Poe, sets off on another puzzle-riddled quest, unaware that the killer might be someone she knows. It's a dog. End of that row. If I remember right, there's 40 books published this week. Sujata Massey has a new one in her Praveen Mystery series, The Star from Calcutta. India, 1922. Praveen Mystery, the only female lawyer in Bombay, has secured her biggest client yet, Champa Films, a movie studio run by director Subhas Ghoshal and his wife Roshana, the biggest name in India's cinema. In the public eye, Roshana is notorious for her beauty and her daring stunts. Behind the scenes, she has recently left the studio in Calcutta that made her famous, and the studio owner is enraged by what he claims is a breach of contract. Roshana needs Praveen's legal help to extricate Champa Films from the impending controversy. To study Roshana's glamorous world, Praveen attends a special screening and brings her film fanatic best friend Alice Hobson-Jones. But in the aftermath of the event, one of the guests is found dead, and to make matters worse, Roshana has disappeared. To protect her clients, Praveen begins to investigate the developing murder case, peeling back the glitz to reveal a salacious web of blackmail, deceit, and romantic affairs. For the first time in their relationship, Alice seems to be keeping a secret from Praveen. Is she hiding key information about the night of the murder? Will Praveen be able to detangle the truth from lies while protecting herself and her closest friend? Two Spinsters and a Swindler by Eve Tarrington, 7th in the Two Spinsters and a Murder mystery series. Derbyshire, December 1815. A cozy family Christmas turns deadly when a visitor is murdered. Louisa Margaretta Haddington, still reeling from a broken engagement, must come to terms with both her parents' displeasure. Though her family's Christmas visitors are a welcome distraction, one handsome man in particular promises to raise her spirits by Christmas. But she cannot live for pleasure alone, as her father's financial difficulties threaten both her home and her family's reputation. What's more, there are warning signs that one of their visitors, an old lady, has come expressly to defraud Louisa Margaretta's family. Judith St. Clair promised to help unmask the swindler, but she has her own troubles. Her father, usually the most mild-mannered of men, has not given her marriage his blessing. Unless Judith's fiancé, Mr. Ramsbury, quickly finds a profession, Judith will not get 1 penny for her dowry. Judith's sister Miriam is now engaged to a man who once proposed to Judith herself, raising tensions in the St. Clair household, but Judith is too preoccupied by a sudden murder at Wycliffe Castle to properly tend to her family ties. The magistrate has no intention of sparing the Haddingtons or the St. Clairs, and Judith and Louisa Margaretta quickly find themselves tangled in his false accusations. If they wish to save their fortunes and their reputations, they must find the killer before Christmas. Holy moly, sounds like a soap opera. I think we'll have time for one more. A Burdened Woman by Sarah F. Knoll, 15th in the Tabitha and Wolfe Historical Mysteries. Holy moly, I've only read one. Lady Arlene Archibald approaches Wolfe with a troubling request. An elderly stranger from Grenada has arrived in England with letters from her grandfather, once a wealthy plantation owner, and from Hannah, the house slave he married after emancipation. The letters speak of a promise, money placed with a Bristol charitable organization to build a school in Grenada for the children of the formerly enslaved. The school was never built. Instead, the funds seem to have vanished into the so-called charitable world that now venerates Edward Colston as the city's greatest benefactor. A nonconformist minister in Bristol invites the Grenadian men to speak and expose this betrayal. Before he can share his story, he is found dead. Despite the righteousness of the cause, Tabitha can't quite banish her unease at Arlene's summons. Now Tabitha and Wolfe must unravel a murder and a broken promise at the heart of respectable Bristol. Alright, we will pause there. The bell will be ringing here pretty quick, and I need to figure out how to say Hygge. Let's look right now.
Hygge.
Hygge? Really?
Hygge.
No way would I have thought that. Well, we'll know for Friday. Hygge. That makes no sense. Mary says, sounds like Keystone Cops in a lot of ways. Yeah. But we're here to solve a murder, people. And Amy says the Tabitha book sounds good. I did read the first one. I think I liked it. But goodness, looks like I'm about 14 books behind. Add it to the list. Alrighty. So on Wednesday, we'll be looking at the darker side, the crime fiction and thrillers that are published this week. And on Friday, we'll look at the rest of the cozy mysteries, if you want to come see what's left. Sprint Spies, as mentioned, Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday afternoon starting at 3. Hope you have a good Monday. Be safe, be warm, read good books. And Mary says thanks, and hope everyone has a great day. Yes, we'll be chatting later. Alright, and as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.